Should we really mix things up and start with injuries?
Yeah, we've got some. It's fair to say. Another disappointing week last week with it. Last weekend. I've got to be honest with you. We've spent the first part of this week trying to work out what the issue is, where it's coming from. There's all sorts of different. I have a thing about reasons and excuses, and I don't know whether they're reasons or I don't know whether they're excuses. But we picked up a couple last week. Amari's is a bad one. He's out possibly 8 to 10 weeks with a hamstring tendon. I think I'm right in saying tear. I'm not the doctor, but it's a bad one anyway. Finn back is a grade 1, 7 to 10 days. And there are other things that we picked up from the game last weekend, which I'm not going to talk about just yet. We'll wait and see when the team's selected on Saturday. There's a few things that I'm hoping will be okay, but we'll just have to wait and see nearer the time. So it's difficult, but I'll say we've done really well so far with even with the problems that we've had, and we have got to make sure we keep doing that. It's about who we have, not who we don't have, and the ones who we do have, I expect to go out and perform this weekend.
7 to 10 days for Finn, been really optimistic. Does 7 mean that he's available for Saturday, or is that too soon?
If I'm being optimistic, he has a chance, but if I'm being realistic, he probably doesn't. But we will leave it to the last minute. There's lots of negative things we can talk about, but the positives of the week are that Ryan Edmondson's had another good week, Ben Barkley's had another good week. We've had Toby back on the grass today with the rest of the group, so we are starting to get some bodies back. Joel Senior is still out there running, doing his sort of final stages of his rehab. So there are some positive signs as well. The league table's a positive sign. 21 points after 12 games is a positive sign, and we've got to keep being positive. We've got to come into this game at the weekend against Doncaster and make sure we are really front-footed, really upbeat, really positive, and try and get a good result.
This is you in a nutshell, brushing aside the fact the injuries are what they are. But did that, what you were doing at the start of the week, did that home in on any trends, any traits that are causing this?
No, if I'm honest, there isn't. I mean, there are lots of different things for different players. We can talk about, if we talk about Amari Patrick, for example, he's got a history of having hamstring strains. He hit the highest speed he's ran this season in the game against Hartlepool. Strangely enough, when we've gone through the GPS and tracked it back in the game, he was running with the ball, which is unusual to hit your highest speed running with the ball, but he did that. So there's a little bit of an issue there. The scan's showing that it's close to scar tissue from a previous one, so there's bits there that you can sort of look at and think they're related. Finn back was struggling with some sort of viral infection for a week or 10 days before, and his body was a little bit weak, so maybe there's something there. We've got players who are playing at this moment in time, playing with niggles because a needs must, and we haven't got others available, and maybe there's a bit of an overload gone on to them. So there's all sorts of reasons. We looked at our training sessions from last week and what the physical load was in it. We trained on 4 different surfaces last week, and that's a problem when you go from one surface to the next. If you go, let's say for example you train on 4G for the whole week and then you go on to grass, that's okay. But when you go one surface of grass, then you go on to a 4G, and then the rain comes and we have to go on a different type of 4G, and then we go on to Hartlepool's pitch, which was long and quite heavy. All of these things are stuff that you have to throw into the mix and try and work out whether there is a common thread to it. Sadly, there's no easy switch that we can just flick and say, right, well, that was what caused it. There's all sorts of things. So even though early part of the week, as a group of staff, we've grilled each other about what's the cause, what's the reasons for it, we can't actually come up with an answer. And one thing that I look at as well is I'm looking up and down the country as well, and I'm getting phone calls from managers asking about player availability, and obviously that's non-league, National League managers ringing me because they're the only ones who can do deals at the moment. But there's injuries everywhere. You look at the top clubs, Liverpool, City, United are picking up injuries. Sheffield United, I read an article Paul, the manager there, did the other day, and they're talking about injuries. So there's lots of it around, and I don't know the answer. I talked about this the other week. There's loads going on. We're the only ones that I'm concerned about, and we'll do everything we possibly can to try and come up with a solution to try and stop it. And maybe it might just be time. We might have to just keep our fingers crossed and hope we get through it.
As you said a few weeks ago, it's annoying more than anything, isn't it? Because you do see what this squad potentially could be, as good as it already is.
Yeah, we're doing quite well at the moment with everything that's going against us. So we can't use it as an excuse. It's just part and parcel of it. It's just one of them things, you know. We had injuries going into last week, and we put in a really strong performance. We have to make sure that we put in a strong performance this Saturday. I think this week coming up is a really good marker for where we are as a group, and that's not just players, that's staff, that's the whole football club, because we've got a game against Doncaster on Saturday. You know, I know that all their fans are talking about they've had a rubbish start. We think we've had a good start. They're on 21 points, same as us. They've got, maybe they expected a little bit more coming down from League One, and I understand that. But it's going to be a tough game for us this weekend. They're a good football team. Then we go to Barrow in the Papa John's, which I want to stay in that. I want to win and give ourselves a chance of going through. And then we have Orient, who are the sort of, I know they're not top now, but the early season pace setters. And that'll just show us where we are. So hopefully we can get through this weekend and win consecutive games, set ourselves up for Barrow, and then we'll worry about the next one after.
And these lads who have stepped in, not so much stepped in actually, because they're actually first team players, the lads who've done the job so far, they've done not just the roles that you expect, but for example, Gibbo going to right wing back and other players moving around, Mellish and the legs. There's a bit of adaptability and resilience in there.
Well, that's what they're showing. They're showing that they can adapt to different situations. We've started a certain shape and had to change through the game, and we've tinkered it just to try and get results and to try and get a reaction. And last weekend was more about me making a decision, hoping that it was going to be the right one to try and go and be positive with the change, bringing Edmo on and Jordan to right wing back, and it worked on that particular day. Whoever comes in, it's a great opportunity for them. Whoever comes into the side, whoever gets that chance, has to go and show us that they deserve to be in the side, and they deserve to stay in it, and that's what we want from all the players in the group.
And a good thing, mentally, spirits are high. We're seeing it almost every day.
Our spirits are really good, and that comes from winning games. You know, that's not anything we do different inside the building. That's just winning games. Winning games breeds confidence. We've got a good group in here, who are challenging each other, who are testing each other, and we have to keep doing it if we want to. If we want to stay in these top places, that's what we have to do. Otherwise, it very quickly falls away.
You mentioned Doncaster already. They are neck and neck with us. Obviously, played one game more, but they'll be wanting to put right what went wrong last season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm quite sure they'll be wanting to go straight back up, and they've had some iffy results. I mean, I watched them last week at Hartlepool, and they were. I got to say, I couldn't see them losing the game. I thought they were the team that was going to go on to win, but Hartlepool showed good spirit. They then had a game during the week. They got a good draw at home against Orient last weekend, which is a good point for them. And then during the week, they took a bit of a beating off Barnsley. So we expect it's going to be a tough game, but I really want us to focus on us. I want us to focus on us being positive and us going out at home on our own surface, on our own patch, in front of all of our own fans, going and doing the job that we think we're capable of.
They've got a player in midfield that we know quite well, Adam Clayton. He's a playmaker, he's a battler as well. They've got some good players.
Oh no, they have. Yeah, they've got good players. I would expect George Miller to come back in after getting 2 goals during the week as well, after being out with a hamstring, so he'll come back into it. They've got a bit of experience in the side. They've got a good blend, and we know we've got, just like we say for every game, we've got to be at it, because you can't go into any game, regardless of the level, you can't go in with any sort of half-heartedness and any thinkings that it's going to be a nice straightforward game. This will be a tough game, and we've got to be ready for it.
Gary McSheffrey took over really tough circumstances from Richie Williams. I think it was around Christmas or whenever. Again, he'll be wanting to make his mark as a manager.
Yeah, he will. Yeah. It's it's been a tough first job for him, being part of a team that goes down, and the changes that go along with that. There's an expectation at Doncaster. They expect to be not just up in League One, but they expect to be challenging to go to the Championship. So he has a big challenge on his hands, and I hope after Saturday he's still got a challenge as well.
Second half from us on Saturday was as complete a team performance as we've seen all season. You'll be wanting to replicate that.
Yeah, it was a complete team performance in terms of picking up second balls and playing forward and running forward. It was good in that respect. There was also things that we didn't do particularly well. Looking back, when I've gone over the game and analysed it, there are lots of areas that we need to improve on, and that's what we keep telling the players. I'm not battering them about it, but I keep insisting that we're not there yet. We've got things that we need to improve on, because if we come up in different games, like against the Doncaster, who've got players with ability who can catch you out, we might get undone. So we can't afford to do that, and we have to keep improving, keep working with the players, get them to believe like they did in that second half, and then hopefully we'll keep getting some good results.
And again, the message from yourself and your coaching staff: if you run and work hard, things tend to go your way. We saw that for 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you run forward, if you can get yourself into forward areas, we look at the goal that Owen Moxon scored. He's running forward with the ball, and he's taking a chance. He's bought himself a ticket, and he goes and gets a good goal. Amari's goal, he's running at players, he's going and being positive in the box and snapping shots off, whereas other times we're giving it away, or we're not getting any end product. Amari makes the run, and Jordan Gibson can find him with a crossfield pass, and it's all, if Amari doesn't run, there's nobody on the end of that. So you have to run, and you've got to run forward to stretch teams, and that's what we need to do this weekend. Whichever players are selected, whoever's fit to play, it's up to them to go and show that they deserve to have had the starting shirt, but also deserve to stay in there.
Did Thomas come top of the sprinting stats by any chance?
He got a little mark on the graphs anyway. That was the big thing. No, that shows they're enjoying it when you see things like that. He was certainly claiming an assist because he threw the ball out to Jordan, so I think he just wanted to be a part of it. But listen, I want them all to be doing that. I want them all to celebrate. I want to see that, and I want to see them celebrating with the fans like we were able to do for the goals, and like we were able to do at the end. And I really want to make sure that we're doing that come Saturday evening as well.
That's one, Paul, not just the end, but for the warm-up, and I think you highlighted it, those fans were so noisy. The lads came in and commented.
Yeah,
listen to that. It matters, and we want to see that again if we can get it at home.
Oh, without a doubt, it makes a massive difference. And I know it's difficult at home because they're obviously all spread out, whereas they're in an isolated area there at Hartlepool. But if we can get our fans coming in this weekend, and I hope they do, I hope the weather's kind to them and we'll come and get some back in. But then it's down to us. It's down to us as the footballing side to make sure that we do something that makes them come back.